So today I keep hearing the song Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. And it's funny because the place that keeps replaying is Don't Stop Believin', and that's it. Over and over and over and over again. Um and it's interesting because today has been a little bit of like a back-to-back kind of chaotic day for me in a lot of ways. So I'm kind of getting to this a little bit later than I usually do, and that actually seems very relevant for this channeled message today. I'm tapping into an energy that, oh, my stomach just turned. I'm feeling like the energy that I'm tapping into is feeling like anxious and nervous, as well as like a little kind of frustrated or irritated. And I'm being called to say that with what is going on with the sun right now, I think that everybody is feeling it, regardless of if you are aware of it or not. You are feeling it. There is just high sun activity going on right now. And so that means the electromagnetic field is shifting. And I've definitely been feeling it for days. I didn't start feeling it really heavily until probably Tuesday of this week. So that was the 9th. But I'm definitely feeling it again pretty heavily today. And of the clients that I have seen this week, excuse me, many of them have been feeling pretty irritated and on edge. So I do feel like that is significant actually for this collective that I'm talking to, where you're maybe feeling a little bit more irritable than you usually do, a little bit more, I want to say like sensitive in some ways, like things that wouldn't normally bother you are bothering you. The other thing that's coming through is like my animal, my dog, has been acting really weird and very whiny. And so I think that's also like a sign that this message is for you, or somebody out there is also experiencing that. It's causing a lot of disruption and discomfort within the body and system. And so, um, you know, the message coming through is about like trying to remain grounded throughout this and trying to remain calm, as well as like let yourself rest. So the other thing that's coming through is like not tapping into this energy of like overdoing to keep yourself busy, or overeating in a way to like try to ground your energy, but instead trying to do that in like healthier ways. May that be exercise, moving your body, walking outside, um things like that. And my stomach really hurts as I'm talking about this. And so I do think that there's some type of clearing happening for this collective. And it feels like it's in the solar plexus, no, the sacral. So that's like right behind the belly button. Like there's something happening in here that feels like there's like a womb clearing for women identified, as well as like some type of like clearing around the way that you're engaging in relationships. So, the way that you're viewing relationships, the way that you're engaging in relationships, the way that you're moving through relationships, there's something really significant shifting in here. And I'm being brought to I'm writing this prompt journal, a healing journal, and I'm really close to being done with it. And it's about like stop people pleasing. And so that's coming through really significantly because I feel like what's happening is there's some like shifts happening within that space, or realization happening for this collective around like recognizing that what the way you've been behaving or the way that you've been moving is actually not serving you, and it's actually causing like a lot of distress and frustration and kind of like this like hopeless or giving up kind of energy. And what's coming through is kind of like this idea around like being able to say no and be stern about your no, and like maintaining boundaries. So like I feel like there's kind of this lesson happening in here for this collective around your ability to maintain what you say you're going to maintain. Excuse me. Oof. And like your ability to actually like say what you're going to do. So the other piece that's coming through is I'm sorry, there's like this is a lot happening at once. Um, like what you're doing and saying compared to how you're behaving are two different things, and it feels like it's causing some type of imbalance in this space. May that be like in a specific relationship or situation. Um, but it's also like causing you to feel like this feeling of like hopelessness and kind of like loss of control and kind of what's the point. Um, I'm being guided to say that like this is part of like a lesson that you came here to learn around learning how to put yourself first and take care of yourself and like set boundaries with other people. So like not walking around eggshells around others or feeling like you can't like bring up what you need to bring up or talk about what you need to talk about. Like um it feels like things have not always been safe to like bring to people's attention, and that when you did do that in the past, it would make people angry or upset, or they would like abandon you or like point at you and say you are the problem or you are the issue. Oh my gosh, what's that song? I'm the problem, it's me. Oh my gosh, it's coming through very significant. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but that was very interesting. I'm the problem, it's me, that song. So I think that like a lot of the time when you did speak up, when you did set boundaries, when you did say no, when you did take care of yourself, like you were very much like blamed for causing discomfort in the other person or asking the other person to change or take accountability, and because of that, you are now fearful of doing that in relationships and situations. So I'm coming back to the sacral. So I think that's like the clearing that's happening right now is like there's a lot of like realizations and clarity that's coming through for you around this. I'm seeing like the Ace of Swords and just like breakthrough energy around you recognizing like what's working for you and what's not working for you in your relationships, and how you're actually participating in that or maintaining those kind of dynamics or creating that for yourself in some way. So not only are you recognizing like the other people and what their responsibility is, but I'm tapping into a collective who's looking inward and actually like recognizing how they are participating in this continuation of these relationship dynamics over the course of time. And as you're realizing that you have a part to play, you're seeing how a lot of like the way that this thing has played out has been because of like the way that you're choosing to engage or not engage. It's so funny because this is bringing me back to a situation I recently spoke with someone about where they were feeling anxious about someone who was struggling within their like circle. And so instead of um like being upfront with them and communicating with them and like kind of like being authentic and true to who they were and what they wanted to say and how to move around that, they actually were walking around eggshells. And it was only like they were mirroring back and forth this anxiety kind of with each other because the individual was like walking on eggshells and not um like not being honest and upfront and sharing things as they came up to protect this other person, to like not make their anxiety worse, but it was actually making their anxiety worse. It was like this very weird, I'm feeling mirroring energy, I guess is really what's like coming up. Excuse me. There's just this very mirrored energy happening here, and I think that like you're starting to recognize how you are like mirroring that to other people and how that's being mirrored back to you, right? And so it's kind of like acknowledging that you need to make a change if you want the mirror to be different, right? So like if you shift, then what's in the mirror will also shift and change, and there's a part of you that's recognizing that you are like creating this for yourself in a way because of that mirroring energy that's happening here in whatever relationship this may be. um I'm seeing parent child, but I also was seeing like relationship kind of one before, or a family dynamic of some sort, to be honest with you. This feels very um personal, like on a family basis, and I'm getting chills. So this feels very like personal on like a family basis, or like a really best friend who's like a sister or whatever, something like that. And I think that there's a lot of like having to kind of like learn how to speak up, and also learn how to recognize what's yours and what's not. So being able to acknowledge like what is my responsibility in this dynamic, in this and then these interactions, and what's not my responsibility in these things. So the other thing that's coming through is kind of like when these interactions would happen in the past, I'm the problem, it's me, right? Like there was like, because you were blamed, there was like this over responsibility that was kind of put on you for making other people upset or making them angry or whatever, when really they are responsible for their feelings. And so the message coming through very significantly here is like we're all responsible for our own emotional reaction to things and our own reaction to things. And we can't blame other people for that. It's our job to take care of ourselves when we feel an emotion, and it's our job to maintain and keep that emotion like calm and like not lash out at people. That's our responsibility. And I just feel like for this collective, you've had a lot of people around you who did not take accountability for their reactions. Instead, I'm hearing like reactive abuse. They like blamed you for making them feel that way or for making them react that way. And so because of that, there's been a very big imbalance in the way that you um ooh, it just passed. There's been a very big imbalance in the way that you take responsibility when it comes to disagreements or arguments or conflict in general. And another thing that's coming through is like when you are in a conversation with someone and there reaches a disagreement, I think that it's kind of like your guard goes up, or like you get fearful, or like kind of like scared of what's going to happen next. And I think a big part of that is because like there have been times when this has happened and you've been shamed or you've been made to feel bad, or things have even gotten really scary for some people. I'm tapping into like violent scary, or like aggressive scary, and that may be towards you or towards the room that you're in, or someone slamming things or breaking things. um but there's just this energy of like a fear of kind of pushing things too far because of how far they've gone in the past and how scary that's gotten before. And so these are the things that are making it really hard for you to like trust in yourself and like move forward in these dynamics in like a healthier way, because there's a lot of fear around um like speaking your truth and how that's going to be received, and what if it's not received well. And I think it makes a lot of sense. I also think though there's this feeling of like, you're recognizing the mirror image of the situation. So like you're also recognizing that you've chosen these relationships and you've chosen these people and you've chosen these things. And because you've chosen them, like that's the dynamic that they live in. And it feels like you're starting to realize that that's actually true in many different spaces for you. And like you have unconsciously chosen this because it's your normal, or it's what you're used to, without realizing. um And I think like, the truth is that some people can transition to a different dynamic from the dynamic that we're talking about, and some people can't. And, this is like up to you and up to your decision on what you choose to do with that or not. But when you are in dynamics where you can't speak your truth, you can't have a voice, you can't like say things without being blamed for it, there's like a space that you come to where you have to kind of decide like, am I cool with that, or do I need to actually like step away from this and choose something different for myself and move on? And I think it's like a really difficult thing to come to terms with, let alone have to acknowledge, let alone have to decide. Um, but there does come a point in time where you're you're going to be asked to have to like sit with yourself and ask yourself like, what do I deserve and what do I want for my life, and is this it, is this aligned, or am I actually outgrowing this and I need to shift? And we all have free will and we all get to decide what we do or don't do with that. Um, but I'm just feeling somebody like I'm feeling like a tug of war. Like I'm feeling somebody who's just very like stuck in the middle of this and like unsure of what to do. And like the other thing that's coming through is like a lot of the times when you're really like gentle, soft soul and you're just very loving, you empathetic as well as coming through, you you want that, you want to hope that other people will shift. You want to see the best in other people. You do see the best in other people. Usually, you're able to see people on a very soul level, and you want to see the best in other people and hope for the best in other people. But from what is actually happening and what you're seeing compared to what you know they're capable of are two different things. And I think one of the hardest lessons is, especially for like an empath or a sensitive soul and a really deep loving soul, and even old souls, is that you have to be able to recognize like what someone is right now and are you cool with that, because who they could be is not who they are right now, and it doesn't mean that they'll get there. That's possible, but they also have to make the changes and decisions to get to that point. And some people just aren't willing to do that and don't want to, or they're not willing to heal enough to get there. Like there's many different reasons on why people don't get there. But I think that like that keeps people in relationships for a really long time. This idea that, well, they was really great in the beginning, I want to get back to that. Well, it's not that anymore. So how do you come to terms with what things are and decide with what things are right now if you're cool with that or not? And recognize that this hope that you have for them or this want that you have for them is just not something that they're open to doing or they've shown you or that they're doing, right? Like it's about learning to accept people for who they are, and if you can't do that, then maybe and I mean like there are going to be some people that you can't do that with, and maybe that means it's time to like move forward and separate, and you've outgrown that, right? Or you've learned the lessons that you were meant to learn in that dynamic, or you just need to put space and time in between, right? It doesn't have to be this complete cutoff kind of thing. It could also just mean that you put distance in between. You don't spend as much time, you don't share as much, whatever, right? Like you got to kind of decide like what that looks like and feels like for you. Um, but something needs to shift because the feeling I'm getting is kind of like we're at our wits end, we're feeling out of control, we're kind of feeling like we've given up in some ways, and the reality is like everything is within your hands and within your control. It's just depends on what you choose to do. It depends on how you choose to move forward. It depends on what you choose to accept. And I think this collective is just really learning how to use their voice. They're learning how to, first off, like speak their truth to other people, but also be truthful and honest with themselves. I feel like the collective I'm tapping into has struggled to be completely honest with themselves about the reality of certain situations compared to like what they wanted them to be. And I also think that's like kind of normal. We grow through that in different ways. Um, but there's something about, like, realizing and having, like, a breakthrough around, like, what you want things to be compared to what they are. There's just, like, this very distinct kind of, like, um, ability to start seeing those things. It's kinda, I don't know why this is coming through, but it's, those 3D glasses when you go to the place and you watch the oh my gosh, I don't know what they're called, the 3D shows. it's like when you have the glasses on, you can't see the difference between the colors, right? But like this collective is starting to take those glasses off and they're able to now see the red and the blue in each lens. And they're able to start to see the difference. Where I think that you were so enmeshed in it and enthralled in it that you couldn't really see the difference between those two things. It felt like they were all one. Like you weren't able to pull those things apart or differentiate those things. But things are becoming clearer because I think you're starting to like this breakthrough or clarity or realization is starting to help you to kind of pull back and see the bigger picture. And that's kind of helping you to kind of realize like how you're participating in this and how you are like maintaining this in some way. Um Not to say that you're responsible for it or it's your fault, but I think that like, in any situation, we need to take a step back and look at like how am I reinforcing this thing or how am I feeding this thing? And like, do I want to continue doing that or not? And that's like what's really important about being able to make change is being conscious of those things. It's a lot easier said than done, but it's a lot of slowing down. And I just feel like right now you're being forced to kind of slow down and see that in different ways. I do see this continuing to develop over the course of the month for this collective. And it feels like the holidays are really significant where some of this is going to kind of come up again at that point in time. And you're going to start um, seeing the dynamic again in some ways in places where I don't think you were aware of it before, but you will be very aware of it now. Like I'm seeing somebody who is seeing clearly for the first time. So all of this to say, don't stop believing in what you're capable of and the power that you hold and have. You decide how you wield your power. You decide how you wield your voice. You decide what you are cool with and what you're not cool with. Like that is your decision and you have the power to decide those things. And I'm being told to say like trust your intuition. Like don't let other people's opinions or other people's thoughts keep you from doing what you know is right and what feels good for you. Another thing that's coming through is like, are like, where did you start believing that how your life looks matters more than how your life feels? This is kind of like a piece of this energy that's playing out here. So just know that like you can make this change, you can shift this thing. Don't stop believing. Start listening to your inner voice more, start listening to your intuition. That's where the breakthrough is coming from, and it's coming up for a reason to help you with soul expansion. So know that you're going to be okay and you're going to get through this. And it's just another lesson that needs to be learned for you to continue to grow and expand and move forward. If you do need help with these kinds of things, you can take a look in my link tree. I have coaching offerings. I do psychic readings to help with this kind of stuff, spiritual guidance. You can take a peek in there if you feel called to work with me. And just know that everything's going to be okay, even though it doesn't feel so right now. Feelings are not forever. Love and light.